Here.
Okay. I have no idea how some of you handed in the homework. According to the questions I just got, you have a way to go to get there. Okay? I'll repeat what I said already. The idea is to understand how the commands work and what you do in each step of the command. And not just have a program that works because you copied different codes from different places. You have to understand how it all fits in together. So let's see how we can do what we were supposed to. So we have this over here. I want to get a value from the user and put it into here. Okay? After I calculate the average. So to calculate the average, we can do a macro to do that. So I go over here, developer, and a macro, or my macro. Calculate average. I put in.
Did you do attendance yet?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm late. I just don't wanna.
Please don't disturb
I'm sorry.
in the middle.
I'm sorry.
Now the macro is recording, and I could put over here equals average. We take all of these cells. Okay, and now I have a recording of calculating the average in cell A10 of all of the rates over here. Is that what was supposed to do?
But in 810.
Put the formula, average in cell A10, and write a program. Okay, so I have my macro. Let's go and see the macro. Yeah.
We don't have to write it like a program. We can use it in this way because there is a way how to write it as a
There is a
program.
way, but if you can do it with a macro, with recording, you can do that also. And so I go to Visual Basic, I open this. This is my macro. Okay. Now, I start writing my program. Dim. Extra credit as integer. And the next step, after I declared this for my memory, for the memory, I want to get the value. Okay, and I can put a title. Okay, what I do over here is open an input box, get a value from the user and put it into the variable that I declared it before, meaning now I remember exactly what was the number that was entered by the user. That's the two steps I did right now. And remember, this is not math. EXCR does not equal input box. I mean, equals whatever is in an input box. Input box does not equal what's over here. It's a command to do something. Okay? It's not a equation, it's a command. In a command, you first figure out the right hand side and you put that into the left side. Okay? Now I have my value, and I want to put this value into C7. Okay, so range C7 equals my variable name, which contains the value that I got from the user. Okay? Now this I'll put before. No, never mind. Okay. Now if I run this, you see over here, this is 81.6 based on all of these cells. Extra credit doesn't have any value. Now, after I run this, I expect that C7 will have a value, and therefore the average will change. I can check that, and I can do this in each stage that I proceed to see that what I did works. Okay, so please enter a grade. I put over here a grade. Now, that grade is in C7 and the average has changed accordingly. Okay, so that's doing the first part. Okay, you put the value in extra credit in C7, and this is the first part. Questions? You understand what is the purpose of each one of these lines? Because if you want to be able to create a program that does such things, you have to understand each line. Yeah.
You started with the average, but it was written in the exercise that we have to start with the extra credit. It can be in the exam also that we have to start from the second place or from the middle and to do this first and then to do the extra credit grade.
No. Input a value into extra credit cell. It doesn't say how to put the value. So you can just create a macro and put a value in here by yourself, or leave the value that was over here. I changed the instructions a bit and asked you to put this with the input box. And therefore I changed the if you would have done it according to what it says over here, you wouldn't need to change it. Okay, it's just that I changed by heart a bit the instructions, so that's why the order changed. Okay? Okay. Now write a program to check the average grade in cell A10 and create message boxes that. Okay, so let's take the first message. Now there's a few ways to do this. I'll go through these parts and show you the different ways. Okay? Now, so let's start. If, because I want to do a condition, if it is between 90 and 100, then the message box would be such and such. If not, I will want to get another message box, okay? So I start with if. If range A10. Now, assuming that there is no grade above 100, I can simply put over here above 90. Okay, now what does it say? Between 90 and 100. So I would say, greater or equal 90, okay? Then, and I go to the next line, okay? So this command says, if the range A10, whatever this contains, is greater or equal to 90, which means it's 90 or above, up to 100, because we assume that there's no grade above 100, okay? Then what do I want to do? Message box.
Don't you want to do x equals or no?
If I do a simple message box which contains only the prompt, I do not need to do anything else. Okay?
Can
Yeah.
we not do the same thing we did, range C7 is equal to extra credit, because we defined extra credit as an integer. Can we not do the same for range A10? We define like a word as an integer being, let's say, average, and then we'll say in a separate line, say range A10 is equal to average, and then continue on with our if average, etc. We can do that.
Again, you say that range A10 equals average, that's it?
Well, I mean, you define, first of all, in your dim, you say that's average as an integer.
Yeah, but average of what?
Just the
When
word.
you say that range A10 equals average, what does the computer do with that information, with that command? Average of what?
I mean, you just define it as a word. So instead of typing in range A10, you can
But
just
what
type
does average mean to the computer?
A10, range A10.
But, okay, I don't understand what you're trying to do. Do you have an average in A10? A10 already
Yeah,
contains?
it's already, like, after you put in your averages, so you said, you defined C7 as extra credit, you put in the value, whatever's there, the average has been worked out. Now you
I didn't define C7 as extra credit.
well,
I did
you
not
define
define C7 as an extra credit. What I did was define a variable called
extra credit,
EXCR.
right, which is extra credit.
It's not, it's EXCR.
I'm
The
saying, like,
computer,
when I give over to you and I'm saying extra credit, I mean EXCR.
okay. So the computer does not assume anything and does not understand anything, okay? So when I declare this, okay, now I put the value of that my variable contains into range C7. I did not declare C7 as extra credit in any stage of this program. I just accepted a value from the user, put that in a variable I declared, and then put the value of the variable into range C7. That's what I did.
So is there a way to do the same thing for range A10?
Yeah, I could write range A10 equals average, which is a function which we will learn later on. And the function average will accept the parameters of which ranges, which cells it should calculate the average for. And then you could do it. But we didn't get there yet with our learning. So therefore, I asked you to record a macro and put in, with the macro, calculating the average into range 10.
Easy enough, thank you.
810. Okay, so we have the first part of the if, which checks if A10 contains a value between 90 and 100 and gives us this message box. Okay? What should I write now?
Another F.
No.
And if.
No. What?
I'm sorry, else if.
Like Elsa?
Yeah,
Do a new line and then else if.
Else
Else if.
if. Okay, now I want to explain. All you said are valid options, but they do not apply to our example. Why? Okay, so we have a few examples of using the if. please follow me. If you have some kind of a condition over here, then, and over here, you have some kind of a command, for instance, message box. Okay? Now, if all you want to do is check whether this condition is true or false, and do this, if it's true, you do this, and if it's not true, you don't do anything, then you write over here, and if, okay? And this would check if this condition is true or not. If it's true, it will give out the message box. If it's not true, it will continue to do the next part of the program, which could be more commands or could be end sub. We can finish over here. That's the most simplest case. Okay? Now, if you have if condition, then message box. And over here, it doesn't have to be a message box. It can be any set of commands that you want the computer to do if this condition is true. Okay? Then do this. But if it's not true, you want it to do something else, then you write over here, else. And over here, let's say you want a different message box. Okay? And you end if. Okay, so this is another case where you have a condition. When it's true, you want this to happen. When it's not true, when it's false, you want something else to happen, and that's it. You write it like this. Okay? Now, we come to another situation where if some condition, then you want this kind of message box. And then, if not, you want to check a few more options, like we have over here. Then, we write over here, else, if, and write the second condition, and write then. And over here, we'll give the message box for this condition. And then we can have another else if. And another one, until we get to one before the last. Then the last one will be else. And the commands. And we'll end if after we did all of this. Okay? So this is what we use when we have a few conditions we want to check. If this is true, do this. If not, check the next stage. If this is true, do this. Okay? What's the difference between this and doing a few ifs one after the other? Okay? Because I can do if condition, like this one, message box, and if. And then check if the second condition, then message box, and then that if. So I can do, instead of a few else ifs, I can do a few ifs that end each one. You understand? What is the difference? When would I choose this and when would I choose the other one?
When you're working on one thing, when you're working on multiple things?
Okay, very good. Okay? If there's a connection between these and they are, one excludes the other, meaning if this is correct, if this is true, then there's no point in going on checking all the rest, because this was true, these won't be true. For instance, in our case, if it's above 90, it won't be between 80 and 90, and it won't be between 70 and 80, right? Because we know it's above 90. So then I want it all in one if and if, and have the else ifs at the one continuation, okay? But if each one is not mutually exclusive, thank you. Meaning, I can have this one true and another one true. Then I will check each one separately with a separate if and do whatever I want to do for each one of them separately. Over here, they're mutual exclusive, meaning if this one is right, all the rest cannot be right. And if this one is not, and this one is, then all the rest won't be. That's when I use the else if. If not, I use a few ifs, one after the other.
With an
Yeah.
and if. You go if, and if, yeah?
Yeah.
If we put the range after the first if, will the computer know that we're talking the same range after if we write else if also? If we need to write range for after every if,
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm going to show you. Else if range 810. You need to write the condition in a way that the computer will understand what you want. Okay? So else if range 810, and now we want to see well done if it's between 80 and 89. Okay? So now I'll show you a trick. And then I'll show you how to do between. I don't really need to check if it's between 80 and 89. All I need to do is check if it's larger or equal to 80.
Because we already established a different message if it's greater than 90.
Okay? Because we already know it can't be above 90. Why?
'Cause
Because if it would have been above 90,
We wouldn't have gotten to else if at all.
we wouldn't have gotten to this else if. Because this would be true, we would put out the message box and then just jump to the end if. Okay? So by doing it like this, I don't really need to check if it's between 80 and 89. I know it cannot be 90 or above. So above 80 has to be between 80 and 89. Okay? Then, message box. Okay, any questions up to here? So what do I write now? Else if, right. And again, range 810. Now I show you how I write between, although I don't have to because I explained over here that I don't have to check that. Else if range 810. I want to see if between 65 and 79. Okay, so is above or equal 65, and then I say and range 810 below or equal 79. This is how I write between. If I want to do and check if something is between two values, I write it range 810 above the lowest value or equal, and range 810 below the largest or equal to the largest. Okay? And this is how do I do it if I want to write between. I didn't have to do this, I can just check if it's above and equal 65 in this circumstance, because I have else ifs and ifs before that, which check if it's not above a value that is greater than this. Okay? But this is the way I do it. And now, message box.
Pass. And then else, message box fail.
Else now what?
End if.
Very good. Don't forget, you open an if, you have to end it. Okay, now let's run the program and see what happens. It asks me enter the grade. Let's enter 0 for instance. Okay, so if it's 0, the final grade, the average is 68, which is
It's pass.
Was it a white?
should be pass. It didn't do pass, right? Okay, this is the problem. I put it in A9 instead of A10. So it checked A10. A10 is 0. If I put 36, then the value is 69.8, and it's pass.
Why don't you swap your, on the first line, your range and your active cell?
Well done.
What?
On the first line of the...
This is just a recording of the macro. I didn't, I recorded
Oh,
it.
you recorded it on A9 and went down to A10.
Okay, so, and if I run this again, and I put 100, so the value over here is 100, the average is 82.6, and it gives me well done, because 82.6 is above 80, but below 90. Okay? Questions about this code? Yeah.
Do we need to have the space for the message box? Is that like Chola?
What? The tab that I put it in?
Yeah.
It's not obligatory, but it's much easier for you to follow what you're doing. Because over here you can see there's an if, else if, else if, else, and if. But if they would be all like this, it would be much harder to follow and see where it ends, where it begins, where it ends, and so on. So
Can you run your scan?
just for your convenience as a programmer to follow your code, it's advisable to do it this way. But you don't have to. It will work also if it's not like this. Yeah.
Can you go back to your main, the Excel sheet for me?
Questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you don't like to say on different computer, but I think the answer's supposed to be, I did it on my phone also, it's supposed to be 84.6.
Okay. The average here is not calculated right?
That's weird. Yeah, this is calculated, that's why. It's missing C2. I can see that.
Let's just do.
It's fine.
No, it's missing it in the formula. You know, the thing that casual Excel users use?
I'm fine.
I dabble.
I was wondering if that's...
Say that?
It's going from C3 to C8. That's where the problem was.
Okay.
It wasn't doing it from C2. It was C3.
So, and then probably when I was recording, I didn't do the first recording at the beginning properly. Okay, but the idea over here was the if, else if, and all of that, which I hope you understand. Please now go back to your program and make it work and understand all the stages of the